With the recent update, the community's last spirit is broken. The grindy event, the DLC page outright not telling what they sold to you, the broken content. Even Stalin doesn't open the game daily. We are truly living in the darkest timeline. Also, CopyCat now exists. It seems like an interesting deck. Surely this deck adds new ways to mix and match builds, right? No. While there are no correct ways to make a build, there are ways to make optimal ones. In this video, I'm gonna explain why the ideas, builds, and theories you came up with are not the optimal way and tell you the cope. I'm not telling you what you should use. This video's purpose is to make arguments about build choices and why they are not the optimal. CopyCat tries to do everything and fails miserably. It is a mess. Most of its options already crossed out for not worth the effort. Whatever remains are inferior to the best way to run it. First and foremost, 2/9 Stoic. Stoic's DOT mechanic really hates armor regen rules. Once you understand that, you realize Stoic doesn't have armor not because DOT mechanic with armor would be overpowered. It doesn't have armor for the sake of convenience. It is agonizing to wait for that armor regen. You are lacking the calm ability, so your flask is the only thing to cancel that DOT and regen armor. Despite potentially having a bigger health buffer and extra 200-ish armor, it ends up being a worse Stoic. My recommendation is to try regular Stoic once and try the CopyCat Stoic, and you will see the difference in overall ease of use. You will see that DOT mechanic is more of a hindrance when it has to interact with armor, and the lack of calm and HP refund compared to regular Stoic just muddies the waters even more. Anything that requires the use of Zerker can be crossed out by its heal on headshot mechanic. Despite trying to do everything, the deck's texture doesn't support the use of Zerker. Sure, CopyCat can get the same breakpoints as any other armor deck, but then why bother using CopyCat for this purpose when you can grab armor, stand in front of a heavy zeal for 3 seconds and boom, double damage for no fucking reason. Berserker is more or less free damage. Why would you ever hamper the damage capabilities by hitting headshots, something that is very common in this game even when you try to not hit them? This leaves us with 3 possible build archetypes: Health Tank Sustain, ICTV Health Sustain, and Dodge Health Sustain. Let's go through the Health Tank Sustain. The most common argument that I heard about the Health Sustain build's power is this: having 2 seconds of God mod with 3 shot health is good. True, this is good, but not only this isn't the best way to run the deck, it is also outclassed by Kingpin. Kingpin has 6 seconds of effective invincibility on command, on top of being a very competent objective and support-oriented deck.
But mister, I don't own scratch-faced character pack.
Well, here's Leech. Leech gives you 10 seconds. It also gives you God mode every time you kill 2 enemies under the effect. In fact, it gives you more God mode frames than any other perk deck. You have the same breakpoints as any other CopyCat health build, and it is cheaper to build since you can just ignore most skills. On top of all of that, you can just revive yourself with the press of a button.
But Mr. Bay, using Leech is gay.
Well, little Timmy, you're right. Leech is a buggy mess, and it will kill you more often than it serves you. Sure, the deck has self-revive, but it doesn't mean it has to fucking kill you. There's a mod in the description that replaces Leech with Kingpin, courtesy of Ansys G. Now get out of here.
Come on. Come on, baby, I just want out.
Compared to Kingpin and even Stoic, CopyCat Health Tank Sustain builds don't have the bite. It just doesn't, I'm sorry. Speaking from pure optimization perspective, there are no reasons to use Health CopyCat, considering better options not only provide more, but also hands you more agency on how to play than the deck that is supposed to be highly customizable. Kingpin and Stoic's effects are bound to a key press. You make an active choice with your toolset and how to use it in what situations in-game, rather than clicking 22 fucking times to find what you need. By the way, if you overshoot your choice in the menu, just right click on the card. You can thank me later. Also, CopyCat Kingpin isn't as powerful as normal Kingpin. LOL, moving on. I'm sorry, it's just not as powerful as normal Kingpin. I saw people play CopyCat Kingpin like normal Kingpin and die repeatedly. You don't have to heal 100% of the damage below 50% health of Kingpin, which is the card that makes the Kingpin so strong. While full health grinder CopyCat has more healing potential than something like Muscle, Muscle doesn't need to do anything to get that healing aside from Hostage Taker. Yes, I'm debating Muscle being superior to a CopyCat grinder. There were times I was out of health with CopyCat grinder with nothing to shoot. Yes, Muscle doesn't have 2 seconds, but that rarely matters if you don't have to expose yourself to get your health back in the first place. You can just move money bags on Big Bank while your health refills itself. Just saying. One different case I had to mention is this specific build by No One Normal that uses Anarchist card with an extra 2 seconds of invincibility. This is also not as effective as the duo. Not only that, but Anarchist invincibility cooldown for Copycat is up to 30 seconds. If you are below 50% health upon armor break, you will waste both 2 seconds at the same time, massively gimping your potential. Both 2 seconds combined still can't compete with Kingpin and Stoic in terms of overall uptime, even in the ideal circumstances. This leaves us with ICTV health sustain and dodge health sustain. While there are a lot of choices when it comes to 3-shot health and 2-shot ICTV setups for health sustain, all of them are bad. The power of these builds that people give the most credit for is the 2 seconds, which isn't tied to the armor in the first place. It is a massive point sink for a little benefit. I could cut it right here and be done with it, but nope, I have to keep going. By far the most popular config for this playstyle is full health with socio armor card. Since heal on headshot isn't enough to sustain a full health playstyle even with the ICTV point sink, you either build for Hostage Taker, which is another big point investment, or you go for first aid kits, and by that point, why not just drop ICTV for a full health playstyle? It will also free you from taking the Socios card for extra armor for something like Grinder, Biker, Tag Team for Sport, or Ex-President. Only thing you're losing out is drama gain, but if you are going for a 2-shot armor, why not just ditch the healing for Berserker anyways? Oh wait, you can't run Zerker cause heal on headshot. So you use armor or Anarchist instead. If you want more healing with an ICTV health sustain setup without a gigantic point sink, you have to swap Socios card for Biker or Tag Team and one of the health cards to armor. This means you no longer have 3-shot health even with a Joker, you have to recover some of the health first. By that point, the only real advantage you have is the 2 seconds of God mode, so why not just run armor with first aid kits? Armor God mode is much more consistent since it relies on armor break instead of health percentage. Or better yet, run normal Sociopath with first aid kits. Sociopath also gives you healing with melee hits, melee boost, panic, armor gating depending on the distance, at the cost of 2 seconds. Not only the benefits are more interesting, the people will think you have a huge cock cause you're using Sociopath. That will be the basic gist of this specific playstyle, even though deck offers more reasonable choices in this context. This leaves us with health sustain dodge builds. This is objectively the most optimal way to run the deck. You may have some opinions about dodge, and it's fine to have opinions about something, even if it's objectively wrong. Please subscribe. People just don't want to acknowledge the power of high dodge. I still don't understand why. Yes, it does teach bad habits to new players, but combining good habits with dodge makes you literally unstoppable. Nothing else comes close, really, considering the passive nature of the dodge mechanic, how it gives you a billion different benefits in the game's gameplay context, combined with its low skill floor and ease of use, makes the dodge the overall best mechanic to abuse if your perk deck supports high enough numbers. You sacrifice nothing but drama gain, you still have your armor gating and health, but they don't need replacing as much. It is It is a very well thought out mechanic with zero downsides. Since the deck has ricochet on dodge, heal on headshot to patch up light shots a little faster than usual, 2 seconds of God mode if your health doesn't deplete with a single shot, alongside a faster weapon swap speed and auto reload, it suits really nicely to the aggressive playstyle that is afforded by dodge builds. You can get 45 dodge with suit and no skills, and with duck and cover aced, it becomes 55. At the cost of 5 dodge over the rogue, you get extra security in the form of 2-second God mode, and it does everything else in the rogue better than anyways. Even though this deck can be builded for different stuff, there is only one optimal way, a style of play that already existed in the game for the first place. It is better than rogue and a proper sidegrade to hacker since 2 seconds exist. Do you want jokers or not will be the thing that decides which deck you will be using for a dodge build. I am genuinely surprised how much of a botched idea this deck is. Cards cancel each other, choices aren't equal. Despite having all of this, it pigeonholes certain strategies from play. Very few people try to take advantage of the unique aspects of the deck like Taralosha with his triple Tatanka build. Even this has problems in the terms of optimal play perspective. Tatanka's reload speed got buffed 12 updates ago, both single and for akimbo. Considering the absurd make size of the gun, by the time you finish shooting, nothing stays alive to justify swapping your weapons and continue dealing damage, and reload the other gun in the process. So you end up having more than enough time to commit to a reload. Considering he went with full health on that route, why not just use the Holy Duo and commit to a few reloads every now and then? Lafay came up with the idea of Frenzy Dodge setup, which is a novel idea, especially since the 2-second God mode triggers on armor break if your health is already below 50%. But the deck still heals you, so your weapon choices are still limited compared to Zerk Rogue. So it is, at best, a side grade to a gimmick playstyle that is already the opposite of optimal. Also, I heard rumors about 2 seconds not working as intended, so this specific rule may not even work in the future. Only time will tell. Maybe I just hate fun, but personally, using something like Kingpin and Stoic is way more fun since not only they are stronger, they let me choose when to use the deck's abilities in-game, depending on my game sense, game state, and intuition. If I want 2-shot armor for the team, I will bring Zerk since doing double the damage is fun, and using these is just way more appealing to me than building stats in a way that already existed in the game, but now with 2 seconds. The deck, trademark. They added a more menu-intensive perk deck in a game where menus take up already too much time. I don't have all of these builds because I like making builds. I have all these builds to minimize the time I need to get to the actual gameplay. Even Stalin, a forced variety user, doesn't like this deck. This man plays Stoic Frenzy for breakfast and Biker with no hostage taker for lunch, and even he doesn't like this deck. If even Stalin doesn't enjoy something, you seriously fucked up in the execution of the idea. Man is theory crafting why CopyCat is such a mess. The CopyCat perk deck is the amalgamation of every problem in the game. It is unbalanced when it comes to choices in a blatant way, it suggests a different design than the mechanics suggest, and it's a mess. Kinda like the game we all know and love. Thanks for watching. Hi, the video's done and there are the stuff that I couldn't fit into the script. I asked CopyCat builds from the DS community in various Discord servers, and the builds I got share a similar theme. Stack all the related effects. So here are the patterns I got. Stack health, stack dodge, get slightly more armor and rest goes to health. It is heartbreaking to see a deck with thousands of combination of skills. People went the same way, every other good deck style of stat bonuses. That being, add a lot of one thing and build around that. Due to the badly designed difficulty, Anything else just doesn't really cut it. So in practice, they added less than one may assume. If you are going to take a customizable deck approach again, keep it focused around the theme. Like make a customizable deck around health, so all the bonuses it uses health related stuff that you can choose between. Do you want more health or health regen on kill? Do you want health on headshot or extra resistance to damage? The game already has armor, health, and dodge, so developers could have choose one of these and made one perk deck, and make people question the possibilities when it comes to their preferred style, instead of just throwing the towel and making CopyCat. That would be a better approach than what we got. CopyCat is bland, it lacks texture, the soul, a personality that other perk decks simply have, because of this throwing the towel approach and do whatever you want thingy. Payday 2 is ending anyways, but please, for the love of God, take these lessons to Payday 3 and improve. Only thing the CopyCat did is to remind people how unbalanced the perk decks are when it comes to power for the top players, questioning why they play the game anymore, lulled the mid-levels into thinking CopyCat Kingpin is Kingpin but better. It's not, and it will likely gonna confuse and irritate low levels. The game wasn't in a pristine state before that, but my god, we are literally worse off because of this addition's slapstick implementation.